Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive into Tyler's thoughts.
That's right. We're on episode 5 now.
As always, I'm Tyler,
And I'm Tyler.
and we're your AI guides,
Here to help you uncover the gems of wisdom.
hidden within Tyler's notes.
This week, Tyler's have been focusing on a lot of different things.
From business and tech to philosophy and well-being,
All those things that make us think.
about life and meaning and how to really thrive.
He's got notes on the 7 habits of highly effective people,
And some really deep thoughts
the
about...
roles we play in life,
He's even thinking about the link between...
what we wear, and how we think.
But let's start with those 7 habits.
He seems really focused on this idea of being versus wanting.
It's like he's saying it's not so much about chasing some,
External image of success.
as it is about cultivating the core qualities that make someone.
Truly effective.
Yeah.
He's making a distinction between character and personality.
So personality is kind of like that.
Surface level charm.
But character, that's where the real magic is.
It's about integrity and humility.
Courage.
Those really foundational qualities.
That make a real difference in the long run.
He uses this great analogy of the organizational golden goose.
If a company chases short-term profits,
By betraying customer trust,
they're essentially killing the goose that lays the golden eggs.
destroying the foundation of their success.
And that happens a lot, right?
Yeah, unfortunately.
They prioritize those immediate gains,
Over long-term sustainability.
and they end up paying the price.
Remember Enron?
Theranos.
Those are some prime examples.
Of what happens when trust is sacrificed for a quick buck.
So the big takeaway here is to think about the long game.
Right.
Build your character.
Prioritize integrity.
Don't sacrifice.
Those core values for those fleeting wins.
Exactly. Think about the impact of your decisions.
Not just today, but 5-10 years down the line.
Are you building something that will last?
Or are you just chasing a mirage?
Now, Tyler is also thinking about efficiency.
Especially as it relates to technology.
He's grappling with this question
Where do we draw the line?
between optimizing humans and optimizing machines.
Yeah, that's the question, isn't it?
It's really important in this age of automation.
I mean, machines are great at efficiency,
But there's this crucial element of trust
and that needs to be established.
before we completely hand over the reins.
You know, look how long it took for people to really embrace
Things like voice assistants.
self-driving cars.
It takes time to build that trust.
It does.
It's a gradual process.
Now get this.
Tyler also thinks that if you want something done,
You should give it to the busiest person you know.
he suggests that adding more to someone's plate can actually boost their productivity.
Really. Give them more to do.
He seems to think so.
Busy people are already in a flow state.
And adding more tasks just keeps them engaged.
It's kind of the opposite of how we normally think about things.
Maybe instead of trying to lighten the load for busy people
We should give them even more responsibility.
and trust them to manage it.
Let's switch gears a bit now.
Talk about liminal thinking.
Liminal thinking.
Tyler's been exploring this idea.
It's all about recognizing
And it's time to adapt.
and evolve.
It's like this.
Companies and even individuals need to be able to recognize when
The strategies that brought them initial success.
are no longer serving them.
It's about being willing to step outside that comfort zone
Embrace those new approaches.
when the old ones become outdated.
So it's like recognizing when it's time to pivot.
Exactly. Tyler also emphasizes the importance of understanding
The emotional landscape.
of any project or endeavor,
He argues that ignoring those underlying emotional needs,
whether it's fear,
insecurity,
a desire for recognition.
those things can sabotage even the best laid plans.
Right. We've all seen that.
If those underlying emotional needs aren't addressed,
It's like building a house on sand
it's all about creating that space
where people feel safe
to express their concerns.
and have their needs acknowledged.
Now, Tyler's also been reflecting on the different roles we play in life,
He even compares it to
how Marines adjust their demeanor.
on and off duty
It's like he's saying we all have these different personas,
that we present to the world.
depending on the context.
And he takes it even further
Saying that our true identity might lie more in what we do.
than in how we perceive ourselves,
It's about action.
not just self-perception.
He's also a big believer in
Intrinsic motivation,
that fire that comes from within,
not from external sources.
like motivational speakers or peer pressure.
He believes that true motivation has to be cultivated from within.
And he brings up this really interesting concept called labels and priming.
How external cues and labels can actually influence our behavior.
And performance.
He uses this example of
How Asian women
perform differently on math tests.
depending on whether their Asian identity or their female identity is emphasized beforehand.
It's really a powerful example of how
Our environment and the messages we receive,
can shape how we see ourselves.
and ultimately affect our outcomes.
So it's not just about who we think we are,
But also how the world sees us.
and the expectations that come with that.
It makes you think.
It really does.
It challenges us to think about the subtle ways we're influenced
By our surroundings.
and how we can maybe shape those influences to our advantage.
Now, Tyler takes this whole idea of personas even further,
He suggests
that we can actually choose to activate,
different versions of ourselves.
to influence our behavior and our emotional state.
He even talks about this thing called,
Enclosed cognition,
it's the idea that what we wear can subconsciously affect
how we see ourselves.
and how others perceive us.
Like athletes wearing their game day uniforms,
To get into that competitive mindset
or putting on a power suit to feel more confident.
and assertive in a business setting.
He's suggesting that we can use these external cues to tap into different aspects of our personalities.
And access the emotional states we need to succeed.
So if you need to be more creative, you might dress in a way that inspires you.
If you need to be more focused, you might create a workspace that minimizes distractions.
It's all about understanding how our environment shapes our internal state.
Now hold on tight, because Tyler's next thought takes us into uncharted territory.
He's exploring Jordan Peterson's ideas about hierarchies and finding your place within them.
He's even bringing lobsters into this.
Lobsters.
Seriously, what do lobsters have to do with human hierarchies?
It sounds strange,
Right.
but it's actually a compelling analogy.
Okay.
Peterson argues that lobsters are just like humans
Wired to compete for dominance.
in those social hierarchies,
Those who succeed tend to have higher levels of serotonin.
which is linked to feelings of well-being.
So the idea is that finding the right hierarchy, a place where you can excel and feel a sense of accomplishment,
Is really crucial for happiness.
and overall well-being.
Exactly. But here's where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
Tyler emphasizes
But even though
we're wired to compete,
strong social bonds are even more important for longevity and well-being than achieving dominance in any particular hierarchy.
it's not just about climbing that ladder.
It's about having those meaningful connections and a sense of belonging along the way.
And that leads Tyler to this really thought-provoking question.
Okay, what's that?
Can you be ruthlessly ambitious internally while projecting compassion externally?
It's a tricky balance, isn't it?
A lot of people struggle with it,
Could you be a shark in the boardroom?
but a saint in your personal life.
Tyler seems to believe that it's possible to cultivate
Both those light and dark energies.
those seemingly contradictory traits.
And find a way to integrate them
So they're not about denying our ambition.
or suppressing our drive
It's about finding a way to channel those energies.
in a way that's both effective and ethical.
That's where things get really interesting. We'll dive deeper into that in the next part.
Along with Tyler's thoughts on happiness, fear, mentors, and a whole lot more.
Stay with us. It's about to get even deeper.
Welcome back. Let's pick up where we left off. Tyler's been thinking a lot about happiness,
Okay.
and it seems like he believes that true happiness,
Comes from having agency and control over your life.
exactly, like the more we feel in charge of our destiny, the happier we'll be.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And he also has this interesting thought about how
We can't experience conflicting emotions simultaneously.
so we can't be curious and angry at the same time.
We have to choose.
So maybe if we're feeling stuck or frustrated, it's because we're clinging to these conflicting emotions.
Like afraid to pursue something new because we're holding on to anger about a past failure.
It challenges us to examine our emotional state.
And see if those internal conflicts are holding us back.
Now, Tyler admits that he struggles with managing his quick reactions,
Okay.
especially when it comes to digital communication.
Oh, like email and chat and things like that.
It's tough to resist responding impulsively.
You know, I think a lot of us can relate to that.
Right. We're constantly bombarded with notifications and messages.
It's so easy to get swept up in that.
Whirlwind of instant communication.
Yeah, it's like you feel this pressure to respond right away.
Tyler suggests we need to rewire our instincts a little bit
Okay.
to better suit the modern world.
Like update the software?
Exactly. He uses the example of fear.
Okay.
Instead of letting it paralyze us,
We should use it as a signal to take action
turn fear into a motivator.
instead of letting it control us.
Now let's talk about
Mentors.
versus heroes.
Tyler seems to think that mentors are overrated and scarce.
But heroes, they're abundant sources of inspiration that we can learn from.
So instead of searching for that one perfect mentor,
Draw inspiration from multiple sources.
Like books and biographies.
Even fictional characters.
Expand that definition of what a role model can be.
Right. Now, switching gears a bit
Okay.
to the world of business.
Right.
Tyler is emphasizing that the economy is really built on
Trust.
and networks.
So in our hyper-connected world,
Building genuine relationships.
is more crucial than ever.
Absolutely. And he offers up this really interesting idea.
Right.
It's more empowering to choose passion in what you do.
Rather than chasing.
Pre-existing passions.
Wait, doesn't everyone say you should follow your passion?
Right. But Tyler argues that true passion
Often arises from
deep competence,
and the ability to make a meaningful impact.
not just initial excitement.
So it's not about waiting for that magical spark to appear
It's about choosing to develop mastery in a field that holds at least some interest.
and then letting the passion grow from there.
Exactly. He uses the example of pursuing wealth through a career at Goldman Sachs.
Okay.
If you're not intrinsically motivated by that work,
You're just relying on
external validation,
chasing that hollow definition of success.
it's like the difference between chasing a paycheck
Yeah.
versus finding fulfillment in the journey.
Now, speaking of unexpected journeys,
Okay.
Tyler finds inspiration from a rather surprising source.
Okay, who's that?
Spock. From Star Trek. Spock. The emotionless Vulcan.
Yeah. He views Spock as an embodiment of
Dudist rationality.
and the human spirit.
A reminder that inspiration can come from anywhere.
Right. Now, Tyler also has some wise words for managing expectations in relationships.
Okay, lay it on me.
He believes in giving generously.
Without expecting anything in return.
He calls it digging the well before you're thirsty.
That's good. So it's about cultivating a mindset of abundance
And approaching relationships with a spirit of service.
instead of keeping score or expecting reciprocity.
Just focus on giving freely and nurturing those connections without any strings attached.
And that's how you build strong relationships.
Absolutely. And finally, Tyler shares his powerful motto for finding acceptance and happiness.
What's that?
Can't change it.
Can't change it. What's the wisdom in that?
It's about letting go of the things we can't control.
Like traffic and mistakes.
Circumstances beyond our influence.
Dwelling on those things just leads to frustration.
Acceptance is the path to peace.
So instead of fighting against reality,
Embrace it
learn from it.
and keep moving forward.
Now things are about to get really interesting.
Tyler's been exploring the idea of 5-minute morning rituals,
Okay.
and he's even made this connection between obesity and cognitive function.
That sounds wild. I can't wait to hear more about that.
Welcome back. We're wrapping up episode 5 with Kyler's thoughts on 5-minute morning rituals.
He's really fascinated by those.
Even small, intentional actions
At the start of your day,
can really set you up for success.
prime your mind and body.
Now get this.
Okay.
Tyler's made a connection between
Obesity.
and cognitive function.
That's interesting. How so?
He's suggesting that
As more people,
struggle with obesity,
their cognitive abilities might be compromised?
particularly critical thinking.
He's even going so far as to say that.
This could be contributing to political polarization.
So if we're not taking care of our physical health,
It impacts our mental clarity.
our decision-making,
Exactly. Now, Tyler's also a big fan of
the barbell strategy,
going all in or all out.
in different areas of life.
Commit fully or don't bother at all.
Go big or go home.
That's right. And this applies to a lot of things.
Our health and fitness,
Careers.
relationships.
Speaking of going all in,
Okay.
Tyler describes himself as
An adrenaline junkie.
he loves seizing opportunities,
Taking risks.
putting himself out there,
Even attending events where he doesn't know anyone.
finding those creative ways to connect,
Like selling coffee and muffins at events.
just to be in the mix and see what happens.
That's great. You got to get out of your comfort zone sometimes, right?
It's all about taking action.
Even when you're not sure of the outcome.
Exactly. Tyler believes those seemingly insignificant interactions
Can lead to unexpected opportunities down the line.
you miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Now, Tyler also approaches life,
Like a venture capitalist,
making those small bets,
doubling down on what works.
ruthlessly cutting your losses,
Exactly. Be willing to experiment.
but know when you walk away,
Know when to persist.
when to quit.
Tyler also talks about
The arc of influence
the people we surround ourselves with.
really make a difference.
Choose to be around those who inspire you.
Challenge you.
Support your growth.
Be intentional about the company you keep.
Now, here's something to think about.
Okay.
Our brains can't not think
So we might as well fill them with
positive thoughts.
ambitious thoughts.
Give your mind specific tasks and goals.
Stay focused.
Avoid those negative thought patterns.
Control our mental landscape
Direct our energy
towards what we want to manifest.
Now, Tyler also has this simple but powerful statement.
Okay, what is it?
Change your thoughts.
Change your life.
The power of mindset.
Shift your thoughts.
You can change your reality.
Tyler also suggests that.
We should address emotional trauma.
The same way we would a physical wound.
Instead of ignoring or suppressing it,
Acknowledge it.
work through it.
Seek healing.
Emotional health is crucial.
And neglecting it.
Can have some lasting consequences.
Tyler also mentions
It's a critical park.
the ability to choose how we respond.
To any situation.
We might not always control what happens to us
But we always have a choice.
in how we respond.
Exactly. He connects this to the hero's journey,
Facing challenges
overcoming adversity.
shapes us into who we're meant to be
Find that meaning and purpose.
on those tough moments.
Now let's talk about emotional intelligence.
Okay.
Tyler breaks it down into 3 stages.
Okay.
Recognizing our emotions,
Understanding them,
and then controlling them.
not suppressing them.
Becoming more aware of them.
Understanding where they come from.
Developing the ability to manage them effectively.
And he also emphasizes the importance of
Surrounding yourself.
with the right people.
A tribe that shares your values.
Supports your growth.
Find those people who lift you up.
Challenge you.
Encourage you to be your best self.
Seek out those communities
Where you can be authentic.
without fear of judgment.
Share your struggles.
Celebrate your wins.
Support each other.
Now, Tyler also suggests we can learn a lot.
From looking at
Successful and unsuccessful.
countries.
Studying both.
To understand.
What drives progress?
And what leads to conflict and decline.
He highlights the importance of
Equal opportunity.
quality education,
He believes there's always a path forward.
even if it's not immediately clear.
There are mentors.
Training programs
And self-discovery.
can help us find our way.
Tyler encourages us to.
Take stock of our strengths,
Weakness.
likes and dislikes.
It's a crucial first step in choosing our path.
It's okay to ask for help.
Exactly.
Now, he has a really intriguing suggestion.
Treat your life like a business.
Set clear goals,
Establish rules
use metrics.
to track your progress.
So approach life with
Intention,
purpose.
like a business plan.
Are we creating the lives we want?
Or are we just reacting to circumstances?
That's a big question. Now, Tyler has another interesting piece of advice about passion.
Don't follow your passion.
But everyone says to follow your passion.
He believes that true passion.
Follows mastery.
Find a field that interests you.
Even just a little bit.
Develop competence and expertise.
Let the passion grow from there.
True passion comes from
Feeling competent.
making a real impact.
That's just initial excitement.
And mastery requires
Deliberate practice.
sustained concentration,
What Cal Newport calls
deep work.
something that's harder and harder to find.
In our world of distractions.
Now, Tyler also has an interesting take on philanthropy.
Okay,
He says that
our strongest urges to give back.
often come from
The things that upset us the most
the things that bother us
can point us,
towards our purpose.
inspire us to make a difference.
He reminds us that
It doesn't matter what you look at.
it matters what you see.
Shift your perspective
Find the meaning,
in our experiences.
even the negative ones.
Then he asks this great question.
Okay, ready?
What would I love failing at?
It's about embracing risk,
Stepping outside that comfort zone.
being willing to pursue those dreams,
Even if it means
facing the possibility.
a failure.
Our minds like to play it safe.
But excellence.
Requires us to
Push past our fears.
embrace the unknown,
Courage.
being petrified.
And doing it anyway.
To wrap things up,
Tyler leaves us with 3 questions.
for life,
What experiences do I want to have?
how do I want to grow?
How can I give back to the world?
Those are great questions.
Define our values.
That our intention
Create a life.
that aligns with our aspiration.
It's about finding our why.
What motivates us.
What are our values?
Wow, what a deep dive into Tyler's mind this week.
He really covered a lot.
From personal growth to business strategy,
To social change.
it's a lot to take in.
So much to reflect on. Now, here's one final thought for you to consider.
I'm listening.
Imagine there were no limits.
No fear of failure.
No judgment from others.
What would you choose to pursue?
What dream would you chase?
It really challenges us to think big.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into Tyler's mind.
We'll be back next week.
With even more thought-provoking ideas.
Until then, keep exploring.